Okay guys, today we are going to be changing the transmission fluid on a 2016 Honda Odyssey. It's a fairly simple job, just amounts to draining and refilling of the fluid. This is essentially what you'll need: a couple jack stands. I used about 4 quarts of the ATF DW1 genuine Honda transmission fluid. Of course, the pan to catch your fluid, jack, torque wrench. If you don't have a torque wrench, hand tighten it and then tighten another quarter turn or so. Yeah, and that's all you need. As you see, here is the oil, which you are not going to be using that at all. But down past that to the right is your transmission fluid level check dipstick. And that right there, you can see that notch in the side. You'll want the little handle pointing up, but that's where you're going to check the transmission fluid. So I like to pop that up a little bit, just so it allows the air into it while I'm draining. Now if you come up under the car, you'll see just back, I usually jack up from the center support here, just back from that. You'll see this right here. That's where you're going to drain the transmission fluid out. And all you need is a 3/8 inch ratchet drive. Stick that in there and break that. Get your drain ready. And unscrew that. Alright, once you get that out, I've just wiped it off. I should have showed you, but that was a magnet, and oftentimes be a little bit thicker than that, as there are shavings of metal. And it's important to get that off, and that's just a neat little device that helps keep your transmission running better, as that metal it picks up on this magnet isn't wearing your transmission down as much. So we clean that off, put a new little aluminum washer on there, and we'll put that back on. Okay, so now our fluid is basically done draining. We will stick this back in there. Hand tighten it, and then we'll torque that down. I'm going to torque this to 36 foot-pounds. There we go. We'll just clean this off a little bit, and then we are done underneath the car. And we'll jack this back up a little bit, take our jack stands out, get our fluid out of here. So now that we've got things put back together, it's just a matter of filling it back up. Now, back in there somewhere, there is a drain bolt that you can use to to fill up with fluid. But it's a pain to get to, and it's much easier just to go through the dipstick. So you need a long funnel. I typically do this for oil and for transmission fluid. I just make my own funnel here, and then I can just throw it away, because every funnel that I get ends up getting dust on it, and I don't want to put that in there, grime, grit. So I just make a little funnel here like this, and this will work just fine. Okay, so I'm going to take that out, the dipstick for the transmission fluid. And now I've got my homemade funnel that I just use the top of a magazine basically, that will put the fluid back in. It takes about 3.5 to 4 quarts depending on how well it was drained, and so we'll put in a few and then check the levels. You only want to be using the genuine Honda automatic transmission fluid. The ATF DW1 is what you want to be using for this. So I'm just finishing up putting in the first quart. Okay, so I'm just checked it here, and it may be difficult to see, but you can see you want the fluid between the lower and upper dot, and that's when it's hot. Right now it's just above the low dot, and that's where I'm going to keep it and then drive it around for a few minutes, because as the transmission fluid heats up, it will expand. So make sure you don't bring it up to that higher dot until everything is warm. Okay, went out and took it for a little drive, took it through all the gears, shifted it through reverse and everything else, and just added a little bit more. And when you're putting this back in here, guys, be careful because this engine can be hot. Alright guys, and that's essentially it. I just took it for another drive, check it again. So you end up checking it a few times, and that's really what takes more time than anything. But it's a pretty simple project. Take you about a little over an hour and save you a good bit of money. Thanks for watching.